Right. Okay. So for today, we're here with Kelsey. And Kelsey, why don't you introduce yourself and kind of let everybody know who you are and who you work for?
Yeah, thank you. So I am a full-time agent. I'm licensed in Kansas and Missouri. I work with Keller Williams, Kansas City North, which covers, I mean, we're all over the place, but
Yeah.
we have several hundred agents in our office that work the Northland pretty aggressively, and then, the rest of the metro as well. I got licensed at the end of 2020 and did it part-time for a while, and then really ramped up kind of the full-time portion of it, if you will, about a year and a half ago.
Nice. Nice. Okay. And so what made you actually get into the real estate world? Like what makes you so passionate about it and stay in it for so long?
Yeah, so my dad actually has a team in South Carolina. My brother is in it now as well. So I jokingly say we're gonna have like the family Christmas card of us,
Right.
selling
Right.
houses. But I really enjoy it. I remember being a first-time home buyer before I got licensed and just being like, what is going on? And we had a good agent at the time. That's not a knock to her. There's just a lot involved, and having the experience of having gone through it without all of the experience that I have now and then having the experience I have now, I really try to explain and educate,
Hmm.
especially first time home buyers who have no idea what they're doing or what they're getting into, and all they've known is, apartment leases and
Right.
that. So really trying to help people understand the why behind the what, I think
Mhm.
is a better deal.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. What makes, or let's reword this. What's the biggest mistake that you're seeing buyers actually do nowadays?
Really just not being prepared.
Hmm.
So I work with some rent to own people as well, and so it's really interesting trying to get people out of the rental mindset and
Yeah.
into the ownership mindset. So one of the biggest ones I see is not being financially prepared for things other than just the mortgage. So property taxes could go up, right?
Hmm.
There's different variables within your mortgage that can go up, but also really just home ownership.
Right.
There's capital expenditures that people don't prepare for. And so on the tail end, they're like, oh crap, my HVAC went out and I don't have 6 grand. And it's like,
Right.
well, you really should have been saving for that. So maybe you set aside 200 bucks a month or 300 bucks a month for things like that. Or,
Yeah.
hey, if your roof is 15 years old, within 5 years, you're going to be paying for that, maybe 10 if you're
Right.
lucky.
I
So
agree.
really that, utility bills,
Mm.
like going back to property taxes, the Jackson County shenanigans that went on in
Yeah.
the last year or two when they just really jacked up, property taxes, left a lot
Hmm.
of people scrambling. So, just being more financially prepared, even if you're pre-approved for 400 grand, maybe you should be looking at 350, maybe you should be
Right.
looking at 300. It really depends on your
Right.
financial situation and not, going to the top of your budget immediately just because you can on paper.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that 100% because a lot of people look at like the rate or like, oh, well, I make this much and I think I can afford this much.
Right.
But it's like, okay, but what if your taxes go up within the year and you're not budgeting for that?
Right.
Like we send out yearly escrow analysis. So then that way they can kind of keep track of, what their payment's going to be looking like if it is going to change. So yeah, I agree with that and actually making sure that they have some type of mindset that, okay, well, maybe we can afford this, but we probably shouldn't max out
Right.
and be uncomfortable. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you on that one. So when you're helping a buyer, like win a competitive situation with multiple offers, what actually makes the difference on getting them in the home?
Yeah, honestly, it depends on the seller situation. And as a buyer's agent, if I have a buyer interested in a property, the first thing I do is call the listing agent. Hey,
Hmm.
what's most important to your seller? Is it just price? Because there are a lot of those, right? If it's a home that's owned by an investor, like 99% of the time, it's going to be price, right? They just want to know the net to seller.
Right.
But if someone's living there or, it's their primary home, a lot of times it's not just price. Maybe they want to rent it back from the buyer after
Hmm.
closing. Maybe they, don't want to be contingent. Or maybe it's they really love the home and want to see it go to a certain type of person. And obviously, like
Yeah.
fair housing laws, like
Yeah. Yeah.
red flag, right? Like
Right.
I've never written a love letter. I'm never going to, but
Yeah.
at least knowing what's important to them can really help shape the offer. And again, not on that one. I'm just using that as a bad example, but maybe it's closing date. That's a big one, right? They have to move on
Hmm.
April 15th or whatever specific date. So really finding out more about the seller situation helps me prepare the buyer for how to make their offer win.
Oh yeah, I agree with that one. I think that a lot of times when people think of like, VA loan, their mind goes, oh my gosh, like how is this going to work with my house being in this type of condition? And
Yeah,
then they say, no, we don't want it. But it's like, okay, well, they're just as deserving as that for that loan
right,
as everybody else with their loans.
right.
So yeah, I
I'll
agree with
say thank
you.
you for your service.
Yeah,
That gets
100%.
forgotten so
Right.
much,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Yeah, it's a big red flag when it comes to that kind of stuff. All right, so on the seller side, what are sellers getting wrong in today's market? Like what's costing them and is it like time or money? Like what's going on with that?
Yeah, both. So I think, and I'm not the first person to have said this or the 100th, but I think sellers are still stuck in the COVID mindset of I
Hmm.
can price it at whatever I want. I'm going to get 10 offers the first day or the first hour, right?
Yeah,
And it doesn't matter what I price it at because people are going to pay for it. So that's issue number one. But I think the second thing is really preparing your home for the market and not just the market that we're in, it just really for the market in general. Like
right.
fixing the small things, getting a pre-listing inspection so you know what's going
Hmm.
on and you can fix the items that you didn't know were a thing, or maybe you knew were a thing and are pretending that aren't a thing before a
Right.
buyer comes in with their own home
Yeah.
inspector. Painting the front door, like making sure the
Mhm.
landscaping looks different. It's not even that these are high priced items, but spend a couple $100
Yeah.
in preparing, at a minimum so that your home looks great and stands out and make
Right.
sure, that the condition is as good as you want it. Now, I'm not saying like go through and put, $40,000 worth of upgrades because the
Yeah.
ROI on that is more than likely not going to be 40 grand. It's not
Right.
going to be 100%. So, but just, at a basic minimum, preparing it for the market to look its best.
Yeah. I agree. I think a lot of people don't realize that just putting the little bit of lipstick on
Right.
goes a long way.
Right.
Goes a long way. So for someone trying to buy and sell at the same time, that's a little tricky, and if they're not educated, what strategy should they be thinking about before they actually make that move?
I would say
What do
my
you suggest to them?
Yeah, so there's two big things. I think pricing your home aggressively that you're trying to sell, like you're likely not going to get top of your budget in the
Hmm.
shortest time frame unless
Hmm.
it's just fantastic condition. It's the best one
Right.
on the block, right? Like you have some special unique like value proposition to your home that nobody else in the neighborhood has, which if you're in, suburbia HOA neighborhood, you're probably not in that situation. But
Right.
if your home is worth somewhere in the 440 to 460 range and you're going to be contingent and you need to get it under contract in 30 days, like don't shoot for the moon and price it at
Hmm.
470, right? It's
Hmm.
probably not going to happen in 30 days. Again, unless it's just in stellar condition. So, pricing it aggressively would be my first thing. The second thing would be really having your agent and your lender just in tandem, like on
Hmm.
everything, communicating constantly. Where are we at in this? Can we order inspections? Can we order appraisal? What steps do we need to be ahead of in order to make sure this transaction goes as smoothly as possible?
Yeah.
And then as a listing agent, really checking in with the buyer's agent on your listing to make sure that they're good to go on the buy
Hmm.
side. Like there's not a chance that they're going to back out, right?
Right.
Unless aliens come down from the moon and there's just some
Yeah.
complete unforeseen circumstance. You want to make sure that your listing is getting sold on that day as
Yeah.
expected.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of I guess people don't realize that there are all kinds of products out there too, loan products that
Yeah,
could help that situation.
yeah,
So being educated and talking to the lender and sitting down with your agent is very crucial, I believe, and making sure that you have a game plan, like if
yeah,
A falls apart, can we do B or C,
right.
and making sure that there's some type of, and like you said earlier, there are situations where you might have to rent it back from the buyer and sit there and wait till your other one closes, or you need those funds. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think a big game plan is very crucial in it. For somebody that is buying a home and the deal falls apart and they are a complete mess, as an agent, what can you do to kind of cushion that? Or is it something that you just kind of are like, we'll just wait it off and not a big deal? Like, how do you handle a situation that's fallen apart?
Um, I hate to not answer your question directly, but I really try to avoid that by
Yeah,
setting and managing expectations on the front end.
I love that
So,
answer.
I mean, truly, like managing buyer expectations is, I would say, one of the most important things I do as a
Mm-hmm.
buyer's agent, right? If it's a first-time home buyer, if it's a second, 50th home time buyer, really setting expectations as to, okay, they said the roof is 20 years old, so that's going to be an issue going into it. You
Yep.
know, if they don't want to replace it, you're going to have to do that or it's not
Hmm.
going to be insurable. That's a conversation up front. Or, hey, first time home buyer, I know we're going to go do inspections. We're going to do these three different types of inspections. The inspection report is probably going to be 70 to 90 pages long. I'm
Right.
just managing expectations up front because they're
Yeah.
otherwise they get it and they're like, oh my gosh, this house is a dump. We
Overwhelming.
picked the wrong one, you know.
Yeah.
And if it's a couple, then you've got type A over here and type B over here, and they're just
Hmm.
going at it, right?
Hmm.
So trying to, get in at the last minute
Yeah.
to manage expectations is just a terrible idea. So
Yeah.
really setting that up ahead of time. And, there are some homes that you get in and the sewer's a hot mess and there's electrical issues you didn't know about. And you get to the point where they're really upset and you did everything you could. Sometimes it happens that way. Then you're playing psychologist or you're playing
Right.
counselor, and there are the different hats that agents play that I didn't intend before I got into it, marriage counselor being
Yeah.
probably the
Yeah.
biggest.
Hmm.
So you just have to be, ready with that and ready with, potential off-market listings if that's something that they
Hmm.
haven't looked at, or even communicating within your office. Like I said, my office has
Yes.
hundreds of agents. So posting on our Facebook group, hey, I have a buyer, they're looking for this unicorn property. Does anyone have it? Or if your deal is about to fall apart, posting on there, hey, this
Hmm.
might be up for grabs soon. Does anyone have
Hmm.
someone that's looking for something like this? Just really
Hmm.
being on the ball and being proactive as much as you can, I think saves you from a lot of those situations.
I agree. I think when you're saying being proactive, I think even that portion of guiding them and making sure that they understand all of the outcomes, good or bad,
Right,
ugly, whatever it is, and giving them the complete
right,
understanding of all of it instead of just kind of throwing it under the rug and wish for the best on the next one. Yeah, I mean, I've seen it both sides,
right,
and I agree with you.
right.
With you having to set it all up ahead of time, it saves a lot of grief, a lot of grief.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so, if somebody's thinking about buying or selling this year but feels a little unsure and questioning it, what would your advice be?
Questioning it because of interest rates or because of like a personal situation or
So if they're questioning it because of rates, what do you
yeah.
suggest for them?
There's the whole like old adage, date the rate, marry the house.
Hmm.
So interest rates are going to change, right? Back
Right.
in the 80s, they were what, 15,
Yeah.
18%. They were some astronomical amount.
Yeah.
Versus COVID, they were high twos and people got
Hmm.
spoiled and now they're just waiting
Right.
for them to get to the point again. I don't know, and I have not heard of any economist say that we're going to get back to that anytime soon.
No.
So really trying to get I think it's just going to take some like beating the dead horse until
Hmm.
people understand we're not going to be in a market like that. Unless you know
Right.
something that I don't. I have not
Right.
heard of anyone predicting.
Yeah, no, I haven't.
So, and the way things are going politically, whichever side you're on, it doesn't matter. I
Hmm.
just don't think that we're going to get to that point. So, the date the rate being, you know, you're going to be in this rate for a temporary amount of time. Sure, if rates go down, you can refi and get a
Right.
lower rate. Obviously, be prepared for some closing costs there or for some costs there. People aren't necessarily prepared for that
Hmm.
financially if it comes to that. But then marry the house. Like if this is your dream
Hmm.
home and you can afford it at the current rate, plus or minus a couple $100 or a couple, whatever. If you've got a buffer there that you are financially comfortable with,
Hmm.
then go for it. If
Yeah.
you're, like I said, if you're at the top of your budget and you're already maxed out and you don't know what the utility bills have been for the last 12 months and you haven't done your diligence and
Hmm.
calling the utility companies and, kind of forecasting worst case scenario as much as you can, then maybe this isn't the house for you. Maybe this
Right.
isn't the budget or the price range for you.
Hmm.
Um, so, situations change and really just being the most financially prepared you
Hmm.
can.
Yeah. I, that's probably the best answer that you could have given. I think with even just people not understanding, like rate does matter, but it's not everything to win a home or
Right,
to get yourself comfortable in a home. Like you have to look at your budget for each month. And not only that, a lot of people don't realize that you can ask for seller's concessions and
right,
ask to get that rate bought down. Like, why
right,
would you
right.
not? So I think a lot
Big
of
on that.
times that we need to sit down, agents, lenders, and really educate these buyers and even the sellers because you can offer that to sell your home instead of dropping that price down crazy.
Mhm.
So I really think that if a lot of people weren't so scared of the rate and understood how to get in the home properly, then I think it would be a whole lot better with everybody's talk about buying and selling a home and how
Right.
scared they are. So,
Right.
yeah, I think that's just a crazy, I hate the word rate. I really do, because it just scares people away. But
Yeah. But no,
what do
I
you
couldn't agree
do?
more. If you knock $7,500 off a purchase price,
Mm-hmm.
it's changing your monthly payment by, I don't know the math, $20, $50,
Right,
like, right, a
right.
negligible amount in the grand scheme of things. But if you
Yeah.
get that 7,500 grand and take it to a rate buy down, you're saving so much more over the
So
life
much,
of the loan.
hundreds of
Even if
dollars
you only stay
compared.
there,
Yeah.
right, even if you only stay there 5 to 10 years, which
Yep.
most people do,
Yeah.
it's
And
crazy.
like you said, on dating the rate and marrying the house kind of deal, like you can get in there on a higher rate, get yourself situated and get a good deal on a home and refinance it later.
Right.
Like people are really just kind of scared of the home ownership, I think, and the aspects of it actually being the biggest financial decision you're ever going to make. Um, but what is something that you're seeing now when you work with like even first-time home buyers that they're kind of skittish? Is it just the education that they're lacking, or is it like they just don't have the income?
Yeah. I think I think it's a little bit of both. I don't want to say it's not just income because I think income is a big thing. And again, people are kind of shooting for the moon and hoping to
Hmm.
land on the stars as far as, maybe they got pre-approved to 150, but in their minds
Hmm.
they were thinking they were going to be pre-approved to 200. So,
Right.
setting realistic, I feel like I'm using the word expectations 1,000 times, but setting realistic mindset of what you can afford,
Yeah.
and I think going to a lender and getting pre-approved is
Yeah.
the best first step.
Hmm.
There's kind of the question, should you talk to a lender or an agent first?
Right.
As an agent, I would say talk to a lender first, because if you're not there
Yeah.
financially, it doesn't make sense for you to go look at
Mm-mm.
100 homes. Like,
Yeah.
I do not show homes to buyers that are not pre-approved
Right.
or don't have proof of funds if it's a cash buyer,
Yep.
obviously.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that's the biggest first step. I already forgot your question now that I'm halfway into the answer.
You're good. No, it was
Sorry.
just like, how are we going to get these first-time home buyers to be able to be comfortable
Yeah,
to get them in the
right.
doors? I mean, yeah, like you said, the
Yeah,
pre-approval is very that's the biggest thing. You can screenshot pictures of homes on Zillow all day long and send them to an agent, and
right,
I want to go look at these homes. I actually ran into it about a week ago, and I'm like, you don't make enough. Your credit's not
right.
there just yet. Like the homes
Yeah,
that you're looking at, they're going to be gone by the time you're ready. So
right,
being able to
right,
get all of those documents, your income, your credit score, everything needs to be a bundle to be able to get pre-approved, then go shop, you
right.
know?
Especially if you're in a situation where you haven't been in the same job for
Mm-hmm.
years and years and years, and your income
Mm-hmm.
hasn't, been steady for years and years and years, right? Like, if you're working three part-time jobs
Right.
and you make enough for the home, okay, great. But
Right.
your financial situation at that, snapshot of time is
Mm-hmm.
not going to be the same as it is six
Yeah.
months down the road. So you looking at homes now when you're not going to be financially ready for 6 months, like you said, is just a
Mm-hmm.
disaster
Yeah. I mean, you don't go
waiting to
shopping
happen.
and go looking at things at the mall without money in your pocket or your card with you. Like
Right,
that's
right.
the same concept to me at least.
Yeah. Yeah, but I do agree, like, education is a big component to
Hmm.
that too.
Yeah.
I have a first time home buyer I'm working with right now, like, super nice guy, smart guy. We've talked through the process, contract to close, but I think the first time you hear it, you're just kind of like drinking from a water hose. You're
Yes.
like, I don't know what inspections are. I don't know what appraisal
Yeah.
is, like, title
Yeah.
insurance, what, right? But as you're in the middle of the process, okay, Mr. Buyer, if you're going to put an offer in on
Yeah.
this, we have 10 days for inspections. After inspections, we're going to appraisal. After appraisal,
Hmm.
like, title company's going to be running title insurance or title commitment and
Hmm.
search in the background. So, like, I think just the repetition of it
Yeah.
really starts to sink in. Maybe even presenting it in different ways. Like, I am definitely
Hmm.
a visual learner, so you can tell me the same thing 100 times. I didn't get any of it, but if you
Right.
like put it in writing once, I'm like, okay, good, I'm good.
Yeah. Now I'm good.
So,
Now I'm good.
kind of
Now, is
catering
that
to
something that
people's.
you offer your clients or like little guides or booklets or something that they're able to research and look at?
Yeah, if I sit down and do like a formal meeting with them at the
Hmm.
beginning, some people request that, and that's fine. Again, I'm more
Hmm.
of a visual learner myself, so
Yeah.
that's probably something I would be geared toward. Um, Other people are like, I want to see this house tomorrow, and I'm like, that's fine,
Yeah.
or you may skip that part of it. But on
Yeah.
the first meeting, like, we're going to be really intense on what this process looks like and
Uh-huh.
what you need to have ready.
Yeah. The details of everything.
Right, right.
Well, I appreciate the time that you took today to talk with me about all of this. It is some good
Yeah.
information for some sellers and buyers. Where can they reach out at to you? Like, how's the best way to reach out to you if they're wanting
Yeah.
to get information or to even interview you?
Yeah. Yeah. My cell phone is glued to me all the time. Like I should just
Hmm.
have a piece of duct
With a
tape
piece
right
of tape
here.
to you? Yeah.
Or in my hand, I'm texting a lot too. So
Right.
my cell is 816-237-9418. That's the easiest
Perfect.
way to get a hold of me. I'm on social media too. So Instagram, Facebook, I have a YouTube channel that goes through some kind of buyer education videos.
Awesome. Okay.
You can just put Kelsey Revelos in there and it'll come up. But yeah, my cell phone's the most
Yeah.
direct route.
What would we do without them?
I know, I know. We probably like remember the sky is blue and the grass is
Right.
green and there's
Right.
fresh air outside
I know.
and
I got a book out the other day and started reading. I'm like, I haven't read in so long, but
yeah,
when you have that phone in your hand, it's just constant. But
yep,
well,
I know.
don't want to keep you, and I want to thank you very, very much
Yeah,
for
thank you.
taking the
Thank you.
time.
This was nice.
And if you have any questions, you can please reach out to Kelsey and have a good one. And thanks for watching.
Thank you so much, Ashley. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you. You too.